Hey, how's it going? How's everybody doing? Yeah, I am gonna do a movie review. I, I can't say it's been too long since I've done a review on something, but yeah, they were it was early days of my doing my channel here. Um, did a lot of reviews back then, especially during COVID time when I first started just throwing videos together on YouTube, and a lot of movie stuff. And I sort of got away from that for a while, mainly because I went back to work and I just didn't really have time. I'm trying to get back into that more often. It's not more often than I am. The thing is, it's summer now, so I'm rarely at home, so I'm not watching as many movies as I used to. So I'll probably be doing reviews on older films, which brings me to this one. Also, if you want to bring yourself to subscribing and help me get up to 1,000 subs on my little unmonetized little man on the internet channel, I got something on my screen there. Yeah, I'd really like that. I just want to get up to 1,000 subs, just a little goal I'm setting for myself that I've been setting for a while now, and it's slowly getting there, slowly for an unmonetized nobody. It's all right. And if you want to like, comment if you've seen the film I'm about to talk about, which you already know what it is because, clickbait. Yeah, tell me what you thought about this film. But we are talking about Gran Torino. I know I'm a little late to the party with this one, considering I am a Clint Eastwood fan. In fact, if you look right over my shoulder, there's a picture of Clint Eastwood right there on the wall. I've always been a fan of Clint Eastwood, so the fact I hadn't actually seen this movie yet, I knew of it, I just hadn't really gotten around to it, so I'm a little bit closer because the air conditioner's on and it's very loud. So should actually keep thinking and grabbing a microphone. I just keep not doing it. I'm procrastinating all the time about everything. But anyway, yeah, I'll just talk louder like this. But yeah, I'm a Clint Eastwood fan. The fact that I hadn't seen this film yet, it was just one of those things when it first came out, I wanted to see it and I sort of forgot about it. And it just really kind of escaped my mind for a while. And then I started seeing little clips on just on reels and stuff. And I was like, oh, you know what? I forgot about this film and these clips look really good. I want to check out this film. And I wasn't disappointed. I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's very well done. Not written by Clint Eastwood, but directed and starring Clint Eastwood, of course. I'm going to say, hi, Lemons. You want to come over and say hi? Come here. Oh, there we are. I know. Oh, you hate getting picked up. She hates getting picked up. But anyway, as this grizzled old veteran of the Korean War, there you go, of the Korean War, very bigoted, angry person, still a badass, still playing not quite the badass Clint Eastwood he played. He wasn't getting into fights. That was one thing I was also concerned about, trying to believe before I saw the film that if he was going to be getting into fights and shooting people up and stuff like traditional earlier Clint Eastwood type stuff, any which way you can, the fighting, and then him in the Dirty Harry films, the westerns, the spaghetti westerns, and everything else, like right there, the good, the bad, and the ugly, which I got something here I just want to show in a second. That if he's gonna be that kind of character, I'm like, I'm not sure if I can believe that, given that in this film he was getting into his 80s, and it's kind of like when I saw Mule, another more recent time Clint Eastwood film, where he plays a drug mule for some Mexican gang members, and I was thinking when I first watched it, I really hope I'm not supposed to believe he's gonna start punching people out and being a badass, which he wasn't in that film. He was actually kind of naive. But anyway, different film, excellent film. Check it out. But yeah, I was like, oh, am I going to believe that? But he's not that kind of character at all. He's angry. He takes no shit. He's a badass. But anyway, it also stars, I'm not sure if I'm saying her name right, Ahney Her, B. Vang, Christopher Carley. And those are the leads anyway, the main leads. Excellent film. But anyway, he's this grizzled old war vet. There's going to be some spoilers in this. Just give you a heads up if you haven't seen the film. Pause this, watch the movie. It's 2 hours long, and 2 hours you're going to enjoy. But oh yeah, I want to talk about this. Yeah, this is I call it the good, the bad, and the bugly, because my cat Bug, who passed away a few years ago, looked exactly like this. And also being a Clint Eastwood fan, This is the poster art of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. My cat's name was Bug. So that's not actually him. We found this somewhere, and I go, oh my god, it looks like Bug all dressed up like Clint Eastwood. So I had to get it. Like, that's back. Bug was still alive at the time. But anyway, that's what that is. But anyway, he has his house. Starts off, his wife passes away. Very sad opening. And he's angry. He's going through some obviously mental emotions. I mean, losing his wife of so many decades. And he's seeing like his granddaughter there dressed in a way he doesn't approve of, and people just don't seem to give a shit. But also, he's very standoffish. He's very angry. He doesn't really have a lot to do with his family. And as the movie progresses, well, first they go to the wake after the actual funeral. Sorry, almost forgot about that part. Goes to the wake, and everybody's just sort of like eating the food. They don't really seem to care too much about him, but also he's not being very interactive. His daughter has a conversation, granddaughter rather, has a conversation, and it's all about, oh, you have a nice old car, can I have it? Oh, you have a nice couch, can I have it? It's just, basically, it's, what can you give me, Grandpa? There was no, that you could tell that wasn't a family with a lot of love in it. And so you can see why he was bitter. He just felt a lot of disrespect and that sort of thing. And as the movie's happening, there's a family moving in next door, a Korean family. I believe they're Korean, or I can't remember what their nationality was exactly. I'm not even going to look it up because I know I'm going to say it wrong anyway. But and a young kid comes over, the young boy comes over, and a teenage boy, I guess, young teenager, asks for jumper cables, and they interact, and it doesn't really go well. He ends up saying no, we're in mourning, and slams the door in his face. And then as the movie progresses, this kid gets his cousins in a gang, and the gang's trying to get him into the gang, and he doesn't want to have anything to do with it. He ends up getting jumped in the yard, and that's where you sort of see the other side of Clint Eastwood, or the character's name was Walt. The character's name was Walt Kowalski, named after the wrestler Killer Kowalski, by the way, who was a wrestler back in like the 50s and 60s, I believe, maybe even before that, the early days when wrestling first started out and was a lot more real, I guess. But anyway, that's who the character's named after. But he comes out with a gun, and he doesn't come out, leave him alone. He's, get off my lawn. And then the gang members disperse, and the kid's there. He's like, thank you. I said, get off my lawn. Acting all, I don't give a fuck about you. I only care about my shit. Get off my lawn. And then next day, the family starts bringing him gifts and food and plants, and they're trying to befriend him. He's very, I'm not interested in this. Stop bringing me stuff. And he's throwing the plants in the garbage. But as the movie progresses, he starts to warm up to them. The daughter has a scene where she's walking down the street, and with her boyfriend at the time, or she was on a date or something, some really nerdy white guy who's acting all like black, trying to be hard when they're approached by some black guys that are actual gangsters, and they're just mocking them, making fun of them, and then they start harassing the girl to the point where it's basically sexual harassment. And Walt just happens to be pulling up, comes out, and then I don't want to say what happens if you haven't seen the movie, because it is actually a really cool scene, and basically ends the confrontation and tells the little nerdy, calls him a pussy, and basically tells him to fuck off, gets the girl in the car and drives her home. And sort of from that point on, she's befriending him. He's being very standoffish, and but she's not giving up on him. She invites him over to, they had a family gathering, and he's very out of place. But as the gathering, the family event sort of goes on and on, they start to warm up to him a little bit. He's starting to warm up to them. The main son, Tao, his name's Tao. He keeps calling him Toad because he couldn't say Tao, but then eventually I think he was just calling him that, just kind of to be a dick, and also as a bit of a nickname. And telling him, what the hell's wrong with you? These guys, the three stooges here just walked off with the girl that really likes you. You like her, and then And then yeah, he basically takes him under his wing at that point, but still treats him kind of bad. And he offers himself as, I'm gonna say slave, but I don't mean slave, but like to do work and odd ends for like a week or something like that. And that's when they sort of really start to connect. He's still standoffish, she's still cold, and he's still using some insults and racial slurs against him, but you can tell underneath he's just saying that, he's putting up a front. You can see it, but it's really well acted. It's really good. And then as the movie progresses, the car, by the way, the Gran Torino, it's more of a MacGuffin in the film. It could be anything. It could have been something else of value, something else old, but it's just sort of there. It starts off where, in order to get into the gang, this isn't really giving away too much. They tell Tao, go steal that car, and then he goes to steal. Walt hears him, comes out with a gun, and there's not really a confrontation. The kid just bolts, and Clint Eastwood, Walt falls down, and that's the only time he actually shoots a gun in the movie is by accident. He falls down, and the gun goes off. But just a few key points in the film itself. Granddaughter, she's obviously doesn't give a shit about him, and the movie starts off. Spoiler alert, big time, right here. Yes, Walt does die at the end of the film. Starts off with his wife's funeral, ends with his funeral, and he basically sacrifices his life in a certain way, very thought out. I really love the ending of this film, how they did it. I said he died, I'll leave it at that, and you could probably assume that was going to happen because he's very sick in the movie, but he doesn't talk about it. And once he goes to the doctor, he gets urged to go to the doctor by Tao and by Tao's sister, the girl, I can't remember the character's name, to go see a bunch of tests. And then you see all the paperwork in front of him when he's at home, and he's calling his son, but it's still kind of not a good conversation. But he's coughing up blood all the time, and they realize, they're telling him, go see a doctor, get that dealt with. The sun's in a weird spot now, so my face is it's either up here very shiny or back here. It will move back here now. Plus the air conditioner is very loud. But yeah, he sacrifices himself in a way to save the son without having some big crazy, what you might expect in a Clint Eastwood type ending. What am I looking at here? Oh, in a Clint Eastwood type movie at the end. But it is an excellent ending, excellent story throughout. You're not bored. It's not an action film. It's a drama with some action scenes in it. But yeah, the ending, I can't even think of another Clint Eastwood movie where I'm almost teary-eyed at the end, where it's a bit of a tearjerker. Like, it's just such a good ending. Like, the movie throughout, just his character arc and the other characters, they don't really have a huge arc. They're just they're just being themselves and trying to warm up to him. His character arc is incredible in this film. The ending is amazing. It starts off strong and it just carries. There isn't really a low point in the film where I'm watching it and going, and it's dragging. It's not tons of filler. There's no throwaway characters. Every character in the movie, from the smallest to the more major characters, are playing a role that is just not there for the sake of it being there. Right? I don't know what else I could say. I would rate this movie an 8 easy out of 10. I think it was very well done. Just a couple of key points. This is actually the first gunfight movie where Clint Eastwood lost. I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to go into more detail about that. The car, the Gran Torino, is actually only driven once in the film. It's implied at once. Clint Eastwood, Walt, he never drives it at all. But it is implied because he lends it to Tao when he goes on a date. And then you see him driving it at the end of the film. And there is a scene where they're talking about the will in front of the family. That is a classic scene. Just the granddaughter's face. I'll leave it at that. And that actually gave me a little chuckle after the little holding back the tears at the end of the movie, because it hit me. It was like, wow, great ending, powerful. The dog in the film, Daisy, was actually Clint Eastwood's real dog. And it kind of made me a little bit every time I saw the dog, because it looked a lot like my dog Billy, because Billy was a yellow lab, except his dog had a brown or a black nose, and Billy had a pink nose. But I was just like, oh, now I miss my dog. Walt is very abrasive when he talks to people, and in the 2 hour run, there's 53 insults that he says to other people in the film, mostly racial, and the ones when he's insulting his buddy too, who's a barber. Let's see, who's in the this one here. Clint Eastwood was in the military during the Korean War. Just to throw that out there, because he plays a Korean veteran. Excuse me, I just spit in the film. However, his role in the Korean at that time was he was a lifeguard in California, in a fort in California. So no shame in that or anything. It's just he was never actually in Korea, but he never claimed to be either. So there's that. What else? It was a 35-day shooting schedule. It was shot in 33 days. Probably a lot to do with Clint Eastwood has a very blunt. He doesn't like to do a lot of takes. It's like, okay, action. Okay, we got it. Next scene. You know, he doesn't like, he's not Stanley Kubrick where, okay, let's do 830,000 takes of you scratching your ear because I want to make sure it looks good, and we'll just use the third take in the movie, you know. 33 days. Car was only driven once, as I said. And was there anything else here? These extra little notes as I made. Shoots his own gun by mistake. First gunfight loss. Blah, blah, blah. No, I think that's about it. But I will say, if you've never seen this film, this is Gran Torino. I hope I mentioned that at the beginning of the video. But yeah, it's Gran Torino. Came out in 2008. 18 years ago. Like I said, I'm a little late to the party on this one, but if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend checking out this film, especially if you're a Clint Eastwood fan. And if you are, you've probably already seen it. So tell me your opinion on the film in the comments if you want. Tell me what you thought of it. You had a favorite scene. If there's something I should have mentioned in this video about the movie, then by all means mention that, because I've only watched the movie once, which was yesterday. So still kind of fresh in my head, but usually if I'm doing a fuck, I keep spitting. If I'm doing a review, I like to do it on a movie I've seen quite a few times. Otherwise, it's rough like this, which my recent reviews are movies I've only seen once. But, yeah. So basically, I just contradicted myself with that last sentence. But anyway, yes, if you've seen this movie, tell me all about it. Tell me what you thought about it. Maybe it was 8 too high, it was 8 too low. I don't know. I thought it was about an 8. It wasn't a perfect film, but it was definitely not boring, and I did enjoy the whole film from the beginning to the end. Anyway, this is me, Jack Ackman. If you want to subscribe, if you haven't already, help me get up to 1,000 subs. I would really, really appreciate that. If you want to like, comment, do all that fun YouTube stuff, then yeah, please do that as well. And I always get back to my comments, and I enjoy the banter. So I guess until the next one. Oh, if you're wondering what shirt this was, it's Reverend Horton. Like, what are those spiky things poking up on his chest? But anyway, if you watch this all the way, thank you so much, and until the next one, bye.